Give me 1 second. I forgot to hook up my good microphones. 1 sec, everybody. Sorry about that. Joas, how are you? How's it going, DP? John? Let's see. Hey, Bruce, how's it going? Uh, yeah, we're wearing 4 watches due to the boredom. What a great idea. we, I got on my Epijorn Chronomet Souverain. That's one of my 3 favorite ones to wear. It's this one, my H. Moser Center Seconds, and my Langenheim. So this is it. 3. Hey, Tim, how's it going? Well, listen, we got our watch project all finished. I put it in a drawer so I wouldn't lose it. So anyway, hey, James. Um, And so I was thinking, well, we got lots and lots of topics that we can cover, and we built a watch. We talked about a lot of different deals and everything. So, what would you like to talk about? Anybody have any topics that would be a good thing to to take a look at? While you guys are thinking about it, I'll drink my coffee. We're always looking for watch deals. Um, so that's always fun. Hi, GMT Master. Let me guess, what kind of watch do you have? Um, oh, I'm doing fine. It's really funny. I've got a routine uh, doctor's visit this morning, not with me, but with my wife, and so I'm going to take her. And the way they have it set up, they only take one person in at a time, and they get a temperature scan and so forth. So I have to wait out in the car with all of the other dogs in the car in the parking lot, I guess. So waiting for that. And they get in a mask. Hey, that's another thing. Have a mask on. So I guess that's the new thing they want people to do. Okay, let's see what's going on. Let's see. Have you ever had a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde watch, being a watch with a dial that looks good with one light source but terrible in another? Just about all of my watches are that way. I think if you get the wrong, let me get my chair fixed here. Ah, my chair has all these gizmos on it, and I'll leave it alone before I break something. Hi, Nelson. How's it going? Matiha, how are you? Fahrenheit. Uh, Okie doke. Hey, Stefan. Moin moin peeps. Uh, so anyway, that's going to be my big adventure today, and going out. Most of the time we're stuck around here. We got rainy weather today. Yesterday was clear, but man, I tell you, the wind was blowing and cold, and the last thing we want to do is get sick. So we hung in there. Hey, Lee, how's it going? Uh, your grand Seiko snowflake. Yeah. Hey, Abdul, how are you? Clyde. Um, so what would be, I think, what would be a good thing that we could look into? We have this time to reflect, so to speak, and how can we use it in such a way that it's after this whole thing is over, we can use that knowledge or information in a good way. Hey, Junior, how's it going? Any experience with the Reverso GMT? No, my wife has a Reverso, but it's just your basic stainless steel one with a stainless steel bracelet. I can say this about it. It's fabulous watch. Just a great watch. You don't have to worry about it. You wind it up, set it, and you're good to go. So I that is one of the best watches. I think that's why I like Zaza Lacoste. Everything I judge is based on my wife's Reverso, and since it's good, I decided all of the rest of them must be great. Hey Graham, ordered a perpetual watch from Hong Kong after seeing your cheap regulator. Cheap, inexpensive. Um, it arrived in 6 days and remarkable for the money. Yeah, they're really those are they're good watches. It's sitting here. I like to keep it in front of me um, because it's so unusual, mainly because it's a regulator. And so, every now and then it's fun to set and then look at it and try to remember how to tell a time. So going back and forth. Uh, Still on honeymooning with your Reverso. Yeah, to me that's a really endless honeymoon. I think. Hey, VP, have you seen the Piaget Antiplato double Joux dual time? Oh no, that sounds like a great watch. So when I was looking at dress watches for the video that was released this morning, um, that watch sort of was one that sort of came back as one that I remember. I said, boy, that's a really neat watch. Uh, there's a Piaget sports watch that is sort of like a baby Nautilus. I'll put it that way. It shows the price is a baby price rather than a wait for years price. I'm finding that blue dial watches are very much in the Dr. Jekyll Hyde category. Um, Yeah, my blue watches. I'm trying to think which ones I have. I have my Zenith and Beauvais. I think those are my only two blue dial watches, and both of them, uh, eh, I don't seem to have any more lighting problem. The one that I made that we sort of as a project watch. Boy, the light changes on that every time you turn it around. Hey, Clyde, how you doing? How you doing? Um, you know, in looking again, going back to talking about dress watches again, what I did, I discovered a lot of stuff I'd forgotten about, and watches that I do like. One watch I liked for years until I saw another one by the same company is the Brigade Classique. That is a well-named watch. The only thing I don't like about the Classique, and there may be a model with it, but I like the hand wound, and I think the real basic one looks like it's automatic, so it's a little too practical for my taste. Uh, what size do you think is good for dress watches with a 7-inch wrist? You know, Here's the thing about size in any watch, not just dress watches. Some of them wear big and some of them don't. My Beauvais 1930 looks huge with that big um, crown and bow at the top, and then the lug bar at the bottom. That thing looks gigantic. Put it on, it's not. And in part, that's because the bow wraps around your wrist to some extent. So what I think, Lee, is that you have, you finding to what extent a watch wears big or small, I think is important. I've got this little 32 millimeter Patek Philippe Calatrava. Doesn't wear big or small. It looks smaller than a big watch, a bigger one like this one, but not huge. I mean, or not tiny. It's sort of looks sort of like mid-size. I'll put it that way. So I think that you really have to judge a watch, um, by how it sits. My Harry Winston's like 37 millimeters. I think it's 37, but looks a lot bigger because of those big buck teeth, the columns that stick out on either end. Hey, NS something, how's it going? Um, Okay. Well, what would be something else that we could sort of try and discover, uh, or another project? Any ideas on that? Hey, Graham, uh, Tudor Pelagos or Rolex Submariner, or tried on both and think the Tudor is much better value. Any thoughts? Man, uh, I like the I like the Pelagos. I'll put it that way. And there are really a lot of different subs. You know, I like the green ones. But I don't have a sub, and I mean I don't have a Rolex, and the ones I'm thinking of getting are I don't know. They don't seem to be mainstream Rolex, but just I mean there's other kinds of things. The watch that I like the best of all of the ones that I saw in that I saw that passed by me in the dress watch review was that Van Cleef and Arpels, the hours here and hours there. I love that watch, and you know when I was looking at it, it's got some other features that I really didn't see. First of all, the simplicity of that watch is brilliant. You've got a dual time, you have a minute retrograde, and you have jumping hours. And when you look at it at on the 9 o'clock side, you have the 60-minute retrograde for the minutes, and then you just have those two little windows at the top and bottom, and that's the watch. I mean, that's when you stop and think about it, so, that's pretty cool. You got one hand that's a retrograde hand. You got a window for time one and a window for time two, and Bob's your uncle. That thing is done and done. And to me, it's brilliant in its simplicity. It's a little big at 40 millimeters for a dress watch. Still, though, what a neat watch. I'd love to have one of those. Um, okay, what's going on? Does the proportion of face to case make a difference on how they work? I don't know. Lee, it's something that is, I don't know. Like this one's 40 millimeters. I don't think it wears big, but on some people it would be 40 millimeters long. I've got about a 7.5 inch wrist, and you take off a half an inch or something, or I go on a diet for a half an inch, and maybe it'll fit differently. I just don't know. Uh, hey, 24K. The Pelagos is also titanium, comes with a rubber strap. Oh, that's cool. It is so crisp and clean, easy to read. The bracelet and clasp are amazing. The movement is great. It's lightish. Okay. Let's see what else is going on. Also, Tudor has better lume. Rolex is more dressy. Let's see what else you guys have. Still has the better movement. Tudor still has the better movement in terms of specification. Rolex will have better dial materials. Tudor is more of a real tool watch, more funky, cool bracelet. Pelagos with thinner movement. Okay, well, it's like I said, I always liked the Pelagos. Just sort of, I think it won an award too. Both okay for size, so I think I'll go with the Tudor. Okie doke. You have all my watches are black and white dials except my King Turtle. You got a King Turtle. What a neat name. I got a King Turtle. I don't know why that cracked me up. Not just a regular, run of the mill turtle. Mine's a King Turtle. That's so funny, Bruce. I'm sorry. See, and my 1963 Seamaster, which has a silver dial. I don't have a Pelagos. Well, what's with that? It's probably the best watch to come out of Rolex. Oh boy, well, you guys like Pelagos too. Personally, I like the Tudor Black Bay ETA version. That was another award-winning watch. Before they gave them their own movement, they had a lot with ETAs. Okay. Yeah, it did win a GPHG for the sports watch category, I think. Hey, Andres, what's up? What's your take on the Glasuti original Panel Reserve hand wound? Yeah, I like those. I like those a lot. Those are neat. Um, there's there are two of the Panos, the Glashütte original, the Pano Reserve and the Pano Reserve Reverse. Both of them are cool watches. I like those. If you're going to have a hand wound, the Power Reserve makes a lot of sense. For some reason, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me if you have an automatic with a Power Reserve indicator. But maybe there is some reason for it. Boss Hog King Turtle. Yeah. Bruce, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to get going. For some reason, a king turtle, just sort of the whole imagery of Boss Hog and King Turtle. How do you manage to give all your watches wrist time? Rotation, everything. I think that's important too. Um, Sometimes a watch will get ignored for a long, long time. And I don't like to do that because I like to have my watches run to keep the juices flowing, so to speak. But also, too, you don't want to, if you wear the same thing all the time, you can get bored of anything. But, one of the, like, this when I talk about my three favorite watches, they're fairly plain and I don't get bored with them. Any one of those watches, every time I put on my Moser, my Langenheim, or my FP Journe Chronomet Souverain. Now, the Chronomet Resonance is worth a lot more, but it's not quite as much fun to wear. But it's more fun to look at. I mean, if you're just sort of looking at that thing and then looking at the resonance at work and things like that, that's a lot of fun. But this one, there's something about it. It's like they don't get much simpler. It's got like the small seconds at between 7 and 8 o'clock. It's got the power reserve indicator at 3 o'clock, and then it's got hours and minutes, and that's it. I never use the seconds. It's not hacked, thank God, but so I don't have to worry about that either. Geo are very underappreciated. Yeah. There are a lot of brands I think that are underappreciated. I think Van Cleef and Arpels is underappreciated. Of course, their watches cost a fortune, and I don't think they're identified with watchmakers. All they do, they just go get these best watchmakers in the world and have them put something together for them, and that's their watch. The Pano Reserve is a great value. Yeah, that's one thing about Glashütte original. You can get some really good buys on those. I'm starting to see some pretty decent buys on certain watches like the Lange Saxonia. There seem to be some fairly reasonable ones about that. Hey, Turkey Vulture. Okie doke. One thing that I love about Seiko is that I'm having no anxiety wearing them in public. Once I had a Blancpain bath escape ceramic and I fell over, chipped the case, service was half of MSRP. Wow. The moral to that story is don't fall down. Van Cleef is a jeweler. Yeah, I know. 24K. Van Cleef is a jeweler, but some jewelers have really done some amazing things with watches. Same thing with Chanel. I mean, Chanel, well, I don't know if they're a jeweler or more of a luxury goods company. Well, yeah, they're more dresses and things like that. But I mean, there's a huge difference between Van Cleef and Arpels. And, some of the best Harry Winston used to be that way. Harry Winston would get these really great watchmakers for his watches. Let's see. At one time, he had let's see, who is his name? Roger Dubuis and Jean-Marc Wiederrecht, both working on watches at the same time. This is in the early 2000s. So you can't. I mean, you can't discount jewelers because they go into it. Now, I know a lot of people say, well, "What about Jacob the jeweler and the Jacob watches?" Which they have. Uh, they don't. They're not into her really into horology. They're into a lot of jewel encrusted things. Okay. The Geo, see, Lang has much better finishing, but at the end of the day, finishing is just finishing. Well, at the end of the day, all our watches are just are archaic. Okay, let's see. Still waiting for Longines to release its in-house movement. You know, Joas, I don't know if that's that they are so much a part of Swatch, and Swatch and ETA is so much their movement maker. I don't know if Longines or Hamilton will have. I don't know. Maybe if I suppose they'll make it exclusively for Longines, and none of the other watch companies get it. Sort of like Blancpain has the old Frederick Piguet movement operation is now the Blancpain mechanics or something like that. All prices will go down. Let's hope so. I am a huge fan of Geo, but the finishing in Lang is a different league. The finishing that I like is two. I really like Lang and Heim, and it's not just the finishing, but it's the bridges and plates around the movement. I don't think there's any watch that I've seen that I like quite as much when you look at the movement as I do the Langenheim Georg. Now, that's a watch I'd really love to have. The way they have the 4 bridges, 3 or 4 bridges lined up for the wheel train. I mean, that's just amazing. You can just look at that whole thing and understand watchmaking and how watches work and everything else. I'm not sure the date, but and why this is important. After Marco Lang left, a guy Jens, who I think was from A. Longa, came down to take over, and they came out with that looks like a Georg, except they added a tourbillon to the top of it. And much to their credit, instead of wrecking it by sort of slopping on a tourbillon, they did a very nice job. And really, that their new one is, I think it's caliber 12 or something like that. I'm not sure which one it is, or maybe caliber 9. Let's see, who services jeweler watches? They all have units that take care of that, Lee. The good ones do anyway. Or if they have one of the advantages of having somebody throw in an ETA, they're easy to get serviced. Some very incredibly rare watches will not really go down. We are not going to see 50% off Dufours. We're not going to see anything off Dufours, I don't think. But the majority of stuff out there is being discounted. It'll be interesting to see watch companies like Patek Philippe, for example, if it started, unloading its gondolas through the ADs, because they quit making them, but they may have some stock that's warm on benches and not doing them any good for sales. So that, I think, that would be interesting if they do. Let me tell you what I think, and I don't know this for sure. I got a thing from H. Moser the other day, an email, and some of you may have gotten the same email. Say, oh, now we got our own let's see, company store, so to speak. And so they have online things, and so you can go directly to H. Moser and buy watches. Now, they're not under underselling their ADs or anything like that. What they have, though, is very interesting. They have some certified pre-owned H. Mosers, and they're they're at okay discounted prices. I've seen better, to tell you the truth, but they're okay. But my bet is they're this is my bet, my guess, my hunch. They all of them may not be pre-owned, but rather they're sort of some of the older models, and they've been discounted. So that might be some interesting things. I think I've already seen and beginning to receive notices about discounted stuff. So anyway, who knows? Maybe Rolex will have a big sale. They want to get when they want to get rid of their Air Kings. I might get in line for one of those. Will any brand go belly up with COVID-19? Man, there could be a lot of ones that do. I just don't know. I just don't know. That's either that or one thing that may happen is that Richemont may buy up some of the better brands that are a little weak financially. It's just hard to know. Moser's one of my favorite brands because their quality is so good. And one of the more interesting things, though, is that while they make under 2,000 watches a year, they make like 30, 40,000 hairsprings. And so you have all of this whole group of other watchmakers or other watch companies whose name will not be revealed because they don't. They told H. Moser that was the deal. So who knows? Who knows what may happen? Yeah, something, Abdul. How would you rate H. Moser versus A. Lange? I tell you, I would say they have the same quality, but they're sort of in a different place. They're sort of going in a different direction. They have H. Moser's finishing tends to be very I don't know. I think you find the finishing in the enlage and the beveling and places like that. You don't find it in the engraving and so forth. They're very simple Geneva waves and things like that. But A. Lange and H. Moser, I think H. Moser they seem to have a lot more innovations, a lot more things they're doing, what they've done, at least the way they do it, okay? And I know that, and they've had some people there that you may never hear of that had a lot to do with some interesting stuff, like Rolf Lang. I found that out after I visited him in Dresden. I didn't realize he was at H. Moser for so long, but he had an impact on it. I don't know. A. Lange, though, I like a lot. So I mean, you have two watch companies that if somebody said, here are two different watches, one from A. Lange and one from H. Moser, depending on which ones they would, I'd take one or the other, not because of one brand or the other, I don't think. GMT Master Guahudi Original Senator Cosmophone. DP, those are in all caps. That's shouting, no shouting. Except by me and my voice, and do it. Parmigiani is in a tough spot because the Sundos said they are tired of losing money on them. I think other conglomerate brands may get paused in some markets. Boy, I tell you, and that's something. Parmigiani is another one of those brands I really, really like. And Sandoz Family Foundation, what they had, Michel Parmigiani was working for them. They loved what he was doing in their restoration work. And so they said, hey, how would you like your own watch company? So, I mean, you get a guy like that, he's not going to know business. most watchmakers don't. One of the few I think who's smart business wise is FP Jorn. Some of the other ones have some savvy, but for the most part, you got a guy he's in love with watchmaking. They're just not good businessmen. Um, you have some people like Roger Smith. He came up with almost like a miracle kind of way. You know, he charges a lot for his watches. He only makes like 10 a year, something like that. And he's lined up for 15, 20 years of people who want his watches. Now that's unusual. Same thing with Philippe Dufour. He just got pooped out of making all the watches, of fulfilling all the orders he had, and so he quit. I don't know. I got it's a mystery. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. What we're doing, let's face it, how much sense does it make? We're here we have these our our iPhones or whatever phone we have. And there's some link to an atomic clock somewhere. We get perfect time. So what we really have is an archaic hobby. And so this is why I certain things like slipping in silicon and stuff like that I whine about, but mainly because it's sort of a slippery slope into the next thing you know, you got a smartwatch. A smartwatches are easy to program. I got to tell you, man, it doesn't take very mediocre skilled programmer can put together a smartwatch that'll run circles around any mechanical one, because mechanical ones are really hard to do. Okay, all right, guys. Well, listen, I'm running out of time, and yeah, I know Sandoz isn't running a charity. They in a way they are. I got to tell you, the Sandoz Foundation family, they are running a charity insofar in the same way that back in the old days, the very rich patrons had publishing companies. And so I think that, you got a little charity there. Okay, Parmigiani is like a millennial who's still living with his parents while getting our graduate degrees. Okay, guys. Thanks, everybody. Everybody stay healthy. I guess we're supposed to start wearing masks now. That's the latest word we've got. So if you're told to wear a mask, get a mask. Hey, we can make masks. I've got one of those, a big one of these things, a washcloth. I think I'll make a mask out of it and, look like I belong in a harem or on a bank robbery, one of the two. Take care.